So now the webinar is open to all the attendees. Namaskar, Minister sir.
नमस्कार नमस्कार
So, मेरा नाम अनिल शाह है. By the time before people join us, I will introduce you. I'm the chair of Canada India Foundation. Let Satish also speak. So because he could be on the top of me, but he could be somewhere on the right side of your screen. So let Satish introduce yourself. Satish is the national convener.
Namaskar, Minister Ji. My name is Satish Thakur. I'm the national convener for Canada India Foundation.
And Pankaj Bhaiya, please introduce yourself.
नमस्ते मंत्री महोदय, मेरा नाम पंकज दवे है. मैं नेशनल को कन्वीनर हूँ कनाडा इंडिया फाउंडेशन का.
और आप प्रशांत को तो जानते ही है.
नमस्ते मंत्री जी, जनवरी में मिले थे आपसे आपके ऑफिस में.
So now we give 2 more minutes and we can start.
And Anil Bhai,
हाँ जी.
just थोड़ा सा format minister साहब को थोड़ा सा brief कर दें.
हाँ, minister, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Minister जी, I will do the introductory welcome remarks. उसके बाद में Satish will give introduction of Canada India Foundation. We have requested the Consul General, who is connected here, but she's not being seen for whatever reason, and she will be making a little remarks for you. And you will be introduced here. Here we got the Consul General also, Mrs. Apurva Srivastava. After that, Prashant will introduce you, and then you will give your address. Uske baad the Q&A, I will do the moderation. I will have all the questions coming to me on the chat line. So I'll do the questions rather than creating a chaos of anybody and everybody asking at the same time. And that's it. And then vote of thanks by Pankaj Bhai. So we are the 6 people who are going to be there on the screen most of the time, except Consul General, who has other commitments also at the same time. So she will be in and out. Namaskar, Apurva ji.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Apurva ji, welcome.
Thank you, Prashant. Hello.
भैया चालू हो गया ना broadcast open. So how come nobody's joined that so far? Oh, there are 18 participants already. Sorry. So we should start then.
Yep.
Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Honorable Minister Sarangi, and all our friends from India. Welcome, friends, to Canada India Foundation's interactive webinar seminar session on opportunities in the Indian SMME sector for Canada, with Sri Pratap Chandra Sarangi, Minister of State for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Government of India. On behalf of Canada India Foundation, I welcome you, Honorable Minister, to this webinar and thank you for your initiative to interact with the members of Canada India Foundation to apprise them of new developments in SMME sectors in India. I would also like to welcome Mrs. Apurva Srivastava, Consul General of India in Toronto. She is committed to Canada-India bilateral ties and working hard to engage Indo-Canadians community through virtual means of communication in these challenging times of pandemic. CIF do have the privilege of working with her closely on issues concerned to India and Indo-Canadians. Welcome to all of the CIF board members and governors and friends of Canada India Foundation. Friends, I can go on talking and I've been given a lot of talking points, but I don't want to take away too much time. I would like to invite Satish Thakur, our national convener, to give a little brief about Canada India Foundation to people who do not know us so well. Satish, please go ahead.
Namaskar, good morning. Thank you, Anil ji, and a very warm welcome, Minister, for joining us all the way from India to interact with our Indo-Canadian and as well as people who have joined from India. We are thankful that you have taken time out from your busy schedule to join us this morning, and a very warm welcome to our own Consul General of India in Toronto, Apurva ji, It's has been a rare and distinct privilege to work with you all the time in various initiatives, and we thank you for your leadership and your participation. Minister, our Canada-India Foundation is almost over a decade-old organization, was actually conceptualized by a few individuals, and Anil is one of the founder of this organization, to work on a collective basis to influence the public policy, that how we can engage Canada on India file and how we can get India engaged on Canada file, because both countries have a lot of synergies to capitalize on. So keeping that objective, the members of Canada-India Foundation are very highly successful business and professional people who have been contributing to the fabric of Canadian society for ages, and highly accomplished and successful. And one of our objective is that how we can channel their success in creating a meaningful impact into the society. So we focus on a 360-degree approach, focusing on bilateral relation between Canada and India. Through that, we organize various sector-specific forums. And in the past, we have been organized energy forum, agriculture forum, mining, food processing, our healthcare, education, so to name a few. So whatever the sector we feel which there is a synergy between Canada and India, every year or every alternate year, we do organize a forum of the importance. That's one. Second is that we do host various roundtables and speaker series events where we invite eminent speakers to talk about the issue pertaining to Canada-India file or pertaining to the Indian diaspora living here. We have over 1.6 million people of Indian origin or Indian diaspora who have made Canada as their home, and they all are very much plugged into various facets of the Canadian society, be it into the political spectrum or the business or the academia, research, healthcare, all different segments of the Canadian society. So we have a charity arm, also CIF charity, in which we do a lot of philanthropic activities as well. And in that philanthropic activities, we have been doing various golf tournaments, and the proceeds of the fundraiser, we have been actually supporting the fallen soldiers in India as well as in Canada, to the families of the fallen soldiers. And Bharat Ke Veer ko humne, we have donated money in the past, and we are working now also. And similarly, as part of the CIF, we do our annual award and gala night, in which we recognize and honor a person who has made India proud, or who has brought India to the world stage, who has contributed in bringing India's image to the world stage. So in the past, our award recipient has been Shri Ratan Tata ji, various other people of eminent people. So those are a brief some of the activities. And recently, under current pandemic situation, we have taken some of the key steps where a lot of people or the Indian visitor who were stranded here, helping them financially and otherwise, took some initiatives for the international students, helping them financially and otherwise, delivering free groceries for our people who were stuck here. And also we have been doing a lot of thank you meal to elevate the spirit or extend our sincere gratitude to our frontline workers. So we call CIF as a network of networks. Every member of CIF minister is a well accomplished. They have their own network of thousands of people, and we collectively leverage and capitalize on that strength. And all are passionate about Canada and India. and all working sincerely and very passionately to advance Canada-India file. Thank you once again, Minister, for joining us this morning. And SME sector in both the countries are of paramount. Both countries, SME is the backbone of India as well as in Canada. So we are looking forward to having this more productive discussions and looking forward to your remarks, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Satish. Can I please request Apurva ji, would you like to say something?
Namaskar. Good morning to all of you. Good evening to Sir. Sir, Honorable Minister of State, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, CIF board members, and other panelists who are hearing it today. It's my great pleasure to be part of this webinar, and I'm really privileged and honored to welcome Honorable Minister who has taken out time from his busy schedule to join us here today. And we have been a big fan of yours, sir. You have been a pioneer for starting Ekal Vidyalaya, and your exemplary contribution in the areas of social work, it's always an inspiration. So thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. And we hope to welcome you very soon in person in Toronto. So this is just a beginning, and I'm sure that you will definitely join us in Toronto very soon, sir, after everything normalizes. I also take this opportunity to thank the Canada-India Foundation for organizing this timely webinar. I'm also thankful to CIF for the advocacy for India-Canada relations, as well as their outstanding community outreach, which Satish ji has already told you. And most recently, they've organized this beautiful yoga day with Baba Ramdev ji and Sister Shivani. So thank you all, CIF, for doing all this. Just to give I don't want to take much of your time, just to give a little background on the Indian-Canada relations, sir. It's India and Canada natural partners. We are strategic partners. We both are vibrant democracies, share the Commonwealth traditions, have similar parliamentary model, and champion a rule-based international order. And we are also bound together by strong people-to-people ties, which Satish ji has already told that we have 1.6 million strong Indian diaspora, very active, very enthusiastic diaspora. Above all, there are more than 200,000 Indian students that study in Canada and make the largest chunk of international students. So that's also a big bridge that bridged the two countries. On the trade and commerce relations, sir, we have a bilateral trade relation of around Canadian dollars 10 billion. Which is very less, but of course, the percentage, year-to-year percentage is increasing every year. We have the Canadian pension funds have invested more than $45 billion in India. Despite this investment opportunity, as well as the trade relations, the share of SME sector is remarkably less in the whole share. So despite the fact that SME sector is a government priority both in Canada and India, and especially in COVID-19, aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen a series of measures announced by both Government of India and Government of Canada for to provide fiscal and monetary support to the SME sector. And I'm sure we'll hear more about the slew of reforms that have been taken place in India from Honorable Minister. But I just want to, before ending, I just want to say that there are very specific opportunities for Canadian companies in energy, agri-food, infrastructure, skill transfer, and innovation manufacturing. Many of these which belong to SME sector. And we are confident that the SME will continue to gradually play a significant role in taking Canada-India relations to a new level with consultation, coordination, joint products, joint ventures, and joint research. And these are the various opportunities which are available. And the most important thing is to start now. And what best way to start than the Honorable Minister himself. The Canadian SMEs are small, but they also have to look towards India. The Indian SMEs also have to look towards Canada. We need to think big, think entrepreneurially, and think for each other. So with these words, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for being here, sir. I look forward to your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Apurva ji. Very well said, very well spoken about the relationship about Canada and India. Thank you. I would like Prashant please introduce the minister. So you are the person who's the pioneer into getting him out here on our webinar. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Anil Bhai, and thank you, Council General. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce Honorable Minister to the audience, to the members of Canada India Foundation. And we thank him for taking the time from his busy schedule to come and address us, enlighten us on the MSME opportunities for Canadian SMEs in India. So Mr. Honorable Minister is an Indian politician, social worker. He is currently Minister of State in the Government of India. He belongs to Balsora in Odisha. He is widely known as a person who is leading a very simple life. And people in Odisha call him as Modi of Odisha. So you can see how much synergy Honorable Minister has with our Honorable Prime Minister. And one of the most salient feature, which is adorable, he is the ever poorest minister in the history of India and the subcontinent. So this again speaks of his accomplishments. We are honored to even interact with the Honorable Minister. Mr. Honorable Minister completed his education. He went to Ramakrishna Mutt to turn himself in as a monk. He made several visits to the Belur Mutt headquarters also. And then the Mutt advised him to go back and take care of his mother. And that's how he started his social service in his hometown. Initially, Honorable Minister served as the district level volunteer of the RSS and also worked for Vishwa Hindu Parishad. He opened schools for poor called Samar Kala Kendra under the Gana Shiksha Mandir Yojana in tribal villages. He has done a lot of work for tribals in Odisha. We all have seen and read in the news of his great work. He has spent major portion of his MLA pension to support the education of the poor children in his area. In his main part of his life, he worked as a head clerk in Nilgiri College in Barsora, Odisha. He has been an MLA for Odisha twice, and in 2019 general election, he won the Lok Sabha constituency as a BJP candidate, in which he defeated the BJD candidate and the sitting MP. In May 2019, Honorable Minister, he became the Minister of State for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise and Animal Husbandry, Dairy and Fisheries. So he has two charges as Minister of State in the Government of India. So introduction can be very long, but I would like this opportunity now to have Honorable Minister speak the audience of Canada India Foundation. The members, they constitute of Canadian SMEs, and they will be enlightened with your speech, Minister. Thank you very much.
So without further ado, Minister, please go ahead. The floor is on for you, with you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
I congratulate you all for having this opportunity, providing this opportunity to me to have my exchange of ideas with you. And my heart is filled with gratitude for great stalwarts like you, so able champions like you, who are leading in the field of industry, business, and are instrumental in developing the relationship between Canada and India. But at the outset, I must express my doubt. That is the meaning of this topic. Opportunities in the Indian MSME sector for Canada. When I was in a webinar, in a review meeting of NSIC, then I had to address a virtual rally in Noapada constituency. Then I asked for this meeting from my office to my residence. And when the topic was presented for me, I was at a loss because the opportunities in the Indian MSME sector for Canada, I don't follow exactly whether the opportunities of our MSME sector in Canada or opportunities of Canada-Indian entrepreneurs in MSME sector in India. I don't understand. Unless it becomes clear to me, how can I speak? What is the real meaning?
You asking the question, sir?
Yes. I could not follow exactly. I said opportunities in the Indian MSME sector for Canada. That means our MSME sector to do business in Canada or Indo-Canadian entrepreneurs.
Sir, the situation is both ways. You know, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, the thing is that there are too many Indo-Canadians here who would like to invest in the SME
Exactly.
in India. They would like to. Opportunities are galore. Same thing, there are a lot of Indian SMEs who can come here and invest in Canada. There is a lot of scope because Canada has one of the richest resources, natural resources country. India needs a lot of resources that Canada is producing it, is generating it, it is having it in its natural form. And India needs them. And India needs the technology as far as power and resources. There is a lot of scope there, sir. So whichever way you look at it, SMEs and micros also can play a big role. I mean, I personally also have a lot of business with India, and we do a lot of work there with a lot of my small and medium enterprises. So there is two-way trade, and the 10 billion is just a small piece. What our Consul General mentioned, 10 billion is nothing. We used to have only about 2 or 3 billion in the past. Now it has grown to 10, but we should be doing 100, 150, 200 billion dollars worth of trade with India and between India and Canada. We are the two world's largest democracies, and we should be working together towards that. And your role would be the most vitally important role when it comes out there.
So now coming to MSMEs in India, like every other country, our MSME, every sector of human life has been seriously disturbed due to this global pandemic. And to combat this situation, we shall have to work together with all enthusiasm. And fortunately, we are having a towering personality who is full of faith and confidence as our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, whose inspiration will lead this nation to a height which we have never imagined. And he gave a target for us to raise our country to a $5 trillion economy before this global pandemic. Now, due to this corona, our industry, our consumption, our market, all were dropped. And people suffered a lot. Our migrant laborers are a great question for us. In spite of all these problems, crises, we are still optimistic that within a short period, we can tide over the situation and we can rebuild our Indian economy. MSME is the backbone of Indian economy after agriculture. It is the largest sector of employment generation. And we have now 6.33 crores of MSMEs. And most of them are sick now. And we provided employment to more than 11 crore people in our country. But Corona has disturbed everything. But there is a chance, there is an opportunity in this Corona. In every disaster, an industrious people can find an opportunity. But a lazy people in opportunity also can find problems. That is, problems and opportunities are both sides of a coin. Darkness and light are both sides of a coin. So, in every problem, every crisis, there is an opportunity. Now, Corona has brought many opportunities. Now we have visualized, we have seen that due to Corona, when man has been imprisoned, quarantined, nature is laughing, dancing with joy. In New Delhi also, peacocks are dancing on the road. Elephants are going to take bath in the river because we are the greatest murderer of this nature, this biodiversity, which is very essential for human and every survival. Elephants are not responsible, tigers are not responsible, lions are not responsible, but the greatest creation of God, humans are responsible. We have been killing mercilessly, brutally, this nature, this biodiversity. Corona has taught us that we can live without all this so-called luxury which kills our biodiversity. Nature and man has a harmonious existence. All this came out because of the wrong, incomplete, and unscientific theory, which is preached by the Western socio-economists and scientists. That is based on a Western thought, that is struggle for existence. And the natural result of the struggle for existence, as reported by Charles Darwin in his book Origin of Species, is the survival of the fittest. But Indian thinking is something different. Although apparently everywhere we see a struggle, but in the bottom we see the harmony. Plants live out of carbon dioxide which we discharge, and plants discharge oxygen which is necessary, inevitable for our survival. We are all interconnected. Man is a part of the family, family is a part of the society, society is a part of the nation, nation is a part of the world, world is a part of the universe, and universe is an expression of Prakriti, and Prakriti is an expression of Brahma. So from the lowest atom to the highest Brahman, everything is one. And this is scientific approach towards the creation. So yesterday who was your competitor, now in the changed situation, might be your partner, maybe your friend. So cooperation and competition shall be the order of the day. And Narendra Modi gave a clarion call to revive Indian economy, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, vocal for local product with global outreach. That was his slogan. And this have a deep meaning. I remember when Swami Vivekananda and Jamshedji Tata were visiting in a ship. Swamiji was going to the Parliament Religions and Tata was going in connection with his business. Both asked when they were moving months together, both talked with each other regarding their purpose, intention. When Swamiji knew that he was trading, he told that fire in your education, India will not be prospering, India will not improve an inch, you might be rich. Then Jamshedji asked, why? What to do? He told that a nation which exports raw materials and produces and purchases furnished goods is a baby in the field of industry. You are purchasing, you are sending raw material, that is iron ore, and you are purchasing not gold and selling it in Indian market. Then you will be nowhere. You are sending cotton and you are purchasing cloths. There are ocean in three sides and you are purchasing salt. So you are the stupid people. Your country cannot reach. Then what to do? Swamiji replied, dig the mountain, cross it, dig the earth, create enough employment opportunity, process your minerals, have your own research and innovation wing, be a producer instead of becoming a merchant. Then the whole direction of this Tata industry changed, and we now see what is the glory of Tata Industries. So we shall have to think in that light. Our Madhubabu in Odisha told, he was the father of modern industry in Odisha. He told cultured hand is industry. What is cultured hand? If you cross a piece of stone, you can get 500 rupees worth chips. But if you carve an image on the same stone, you will get 55,000 rupees. It will. So this is value addition and this is industry. So in that line, we shall have to think, and we shall have to reskill, upskill our migrant labor also, who may not return to their workplace. Some will return, some may not return. So we shall have to focus. Now people were rushing to cities from villages. Now the trend has been changed and we shall have to focus on our villages. Swami Vivekananda told, the nation lives in cottages. Mahatma Gandhi also told, the nation lives in cottages. Vivekananda was of the opinion that unless these villages are improved, unless these 6 lakh, 7 lakh villages are improved, a complete growth of India is not possible. And how to improve these villages? That is a $1 million question. We still have to put our emphasis. Industrialists, entrepreneurs should focus on the villages. In the village, we have an opportunity. Low-cost labor is available. Good atmosphere is available. What is the city's condition in India? More city, more industrialization. In India specifically means more dot, more slum, more disease, more pollution. What is the condition in Delhi, in Meerut, in Mumbai, in Surat? So we shall find out new opportunity, not to spoil the atmosphere, but to find out some eco-friendly technology, eco-friendly industry, and to create more employment opportunity. That is to focus on agriculture. Agriculture can be a beautiful industry. Agriculture, especially organic farming, that is a special focus today. We have spoiled everything, our soil, our earth, the air, water, by this over application of technology, chemicals, and our wastewaters from the industries. We have spoiled everything. Now we shall have to look for the protection of this natural beauty. And we can develop our tourism industries, our agribusiness, agro industries, food processing plants. In Ograi, in Balasore district, our farmers sell 2 rupees a kg during the time of production per tomato, 5 rupees a kg per potato. But they can preserve it, in cold storage will be available. They can process it, and tomatoes can be sold at 300 rupees a kg, potato chips can be sold at 500 rupees a kg. Entrepreneurs may come up with that. Animal husbandry is another field of interest. We can have goattery, we can have dairy, we can have our various other industries based on animals, like our poultry and all that. And we have enough eco-friendly atmosphere, good atmosphere. We can develop our solar power projects. And the sun god is kind enough to have this infinite source of energy throughout the country. In many countries, we do not have that blessing, but India is fortunate enough. We can develop our Panchagavya industry. There are limited Goshalas, and Swami Ramdev and all that are doing all this. Panchagavya industry, out of cow dung, out of the urine of the cow and the ghee and all that, all the 5 elements. They are producing many medicines, khads, selling it in packets, pesticides, beautiful pesticides we can prepare. We have prepared in our villages. No chemical is necessary. That can reduce the cost of production of our farmers, and farming becomes profitable. That will also reduce our health hazard. It will give a very healthy food, hygienic food. We can do that, and almost without any cost. Then cotton and khadi clusters we can develop. Government is giving 90% subsidy. Our solar charkha projects, we can provide employment to at least 500 families, 500 women. This year, we are planning that within these 5 years, with the collaboration of textile industry, our MSME will create such an atmosphere through our solar charkha centers, solar charkha clusters, to provide employment to 10 lakh women. But the entrepreneurs are necessary, because providing this 10% beneficiary share is a very difficult task. In the village, rural force cannot provide it. One organizer, either an NGO or an entrepreneur, have to organize, and then only the government grant will come. 90% government grant for machineries and all that. And it amounts to crores also. One woman can manage to run 4 charkhas at a time, 3-4 charkhas. And that will give her base up to 10,000-15,000 a month. It is not a small thing. And we can develop our traditional industry, like stone carving. We can have our clusters. Also, the same rate of subsidies there. We can organize 300, 400, 500 people to organize this. And one industrial house or NGO can organize this. This 10% beneficiary contribution can be collected from the beneficiary. But until and unless they see the fruit, they may not be agree. So there are some cases where the entrepreneur spends the 10% contribution, and after the project is operational, they collect the money from their profits. Now, our stone carving, our bell metal and copper industries, our kabada industry, our carpenter industry, we can have our clusters. Honey mission also is having a cluster. 600, 500 beekeepers can be developed, and 10, 15 boxes can be given to them with bee, and they can earn money. It's a very good earning, and as a side business they can do it, and it will also increase the production of their field. If they plant these honey boxes, bee boxes in their rice field, in a paddy field, or in their fruit orchard, or in their sarso, okay, then they will earn 30% extra income in that field. Then we can have plastic processing units. We can have a herbal park. Government has declared 4,000 crore assistance in this package for this herbal park. And in this herbal park, marginal and small farmers will get 40% subsidy. They can plant this Aula, wheel, and this Ashoka, and Satavari. All these are Ayurvedic plants, and they can get 40% subsidy, and they can process these things. They can sell it to the Ayurvedic pharmacies. They can sell to other medicine producers, and they can get a market. Also, we are trying to make a Vivek system, but it will take some time. This is a very beautiful industry which we can organize our trials in the forest also. If in the forest government land they plant, they will get the subsidy, and in their private land also they can plant it. And big entrepreneurs can take 1,500, 200 acres to plant this herbal, have these herbal gardens, and they can develop their own processing units to export. That is beautiful. Then we can create smart villages. We can create digital villages. We can develop yoga and wellness center, because today fitness is a very fun thing for everybody. We can have our life incubation centers where we can train these migrant laborers, these rural unemployed people. They can start their own entrepreneurship. They can start their own industry. And this life incubation center, if it is run by a government institution, a government university, then government will give, our department will give 1 crore rupees as assistance. But if it is started by a private entrepreneur, or a private university, or a private institution, then 50 lakh rupees will be given by the government. Rest will be paid by the entrepreneur, and they can collect fees for as a training fees from the people who train them. There are many courses, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and you can develop that. Now our foreign investors can invest in this line so that they create more entrepreneurs also. Training programs under DDU-GKY or skill development programs of government India, you can do, and you can have your government assistance also. In our Kayar sector, we have a training program for 2 months. 3,000 rupees is given to each training, and trainer is being given 15,000 rupees a month. After 2 months, they will be given various facilities, and in 3-4 batches is over, there will be a Kayar cluster. The organizer will organize, and with these trained people, a cluster can be organized, and we are trying to Vivek the articles, otherwise they can sell in the open market also. And now we know Kayar Pith is how important for agriculture, because its water consumption ratio is much less. In soil, if we spend 100 liters water, in Kayar Pith we spend 20 liters water to have the same, and it is a nutritional value for the plants. There are Kayar tiles, Kayar mats which are used in the mines, in the houses, in the roads, in road construction also. So this is a multifarious utility, and more research will also improve. There are many 55 items or more than that in Kayar. We can develop our low-cost houses also. We can develop our filigree. We can have our skill institution. Financial package of declared by the government of India is a boon for MSMEs. there are three types of accounts, which are either standard account. For standard account, those which are not NPA but on the way to be NPA, have not paid their dues, their EMIs for 1 or 2 months, are called standard accounts. And government is declared 3 lakh crores of collateral-free, low-interest loans, automatic loans. They can get 20% of their outstanding amount as loan without any collateral, and they can spend it for their payment of laborers and workers, officials, and purchase raw materials and all. There is some accounts which we call NPA or stressed account. Earlier, before this corona, as per the Reserve Bank guideline, there was a provision that they will be only recovered. The bank will go and close their unit, sell it, croak it. And if the money is not sufficient to repay the loan, then they can sell their own residential houses and rented property. The bank will get their dues. They had no chance to revive. But during this corona, and the government has declared a chance, an opportunity for them, they will be given a loan. 20,000 crores of subordinated debt fund has been arranged, and they will be given a chance to revive their accounts. Now for the third one, that is for the healthy accounts, which were healthy, quite healthy before this corona. Now during this corona, their production has been stopped, market has been finished, and they have been stopped. So now for them, there is a 50,000 crores package of fund of funds, in which Government of India will give 10,000 crores of corpus fund, that is called a mother fund, and through equity infusion from the market, 40,000 crore, 1:4 ratio will be collected and will be given to them to revive their industry. And there is another benefit in this, that earlier there was a bureaucratic technique, so that in Indian procurements of government, only foreign players could participate. Now government is prohibited totally, that no foreign business house can participate in government procurement up to 200 crores. Because this world fair and trade fairs are impossible nowadays, there is a portal which enable our MSMEs to access a global market. So there is also chances of cold storage. We can give up to 50% of subsidy, and for our fishermen, poor fishermen, we have given many chances, like this cycle with ice box, motorcycle with ice box, and to a better, financially better people doing this business, we give refrigerated trucks. And for the school chain and fish feed units and farm ponds, we give 40% subsidy. Thousands of farm ponds will be built this year. 40% subsidy to a general male, 60% to female of any caste, and SC/ST of any size. We give 60%. 60% subsidy. Then our pearl culture, our seaweed culture, our mariculture, our brackish water culture, we have enough possibility, and big entrepreneurs can jump to this. Hundreds and thousands of acres of lands have been utilized for fishing, for pisciculture by Gujarat and other industrialists. Then you can. Then we have a special opportunity for ornamental fish culture, for exports in fishery, and for mechanization of boats, and up to 12 nautical mile, states, provinces have their own right to make legislation to collect fish and to provide protection. But from 12 nautical miles to 200 nautical miles, central government has the right. But since there was no comprehensive law in this affair, central government got nothing, and foreign pirates looted our fishery resources, including China, Japan, and all that. But now government is strictly prohibited that no foreign player will be allowed for fishing in these 200 kilometers, nautical nautical miles. And after that deep sea, it's an international sea. So our vessels are deep sea vessels. There was no deep sea vessel in India. So deep sea vessels have been prepared, and we started as a pilot project in Tamil Nadu. And now hundreds of deep sea vessels are being prepared to give our entrepreneurs with 40%, 60% subsidy, so that they can have deep sea fishing mechanism, and this amount of crores also. So there are other benefits. One big thing we are talking about, and we have decided that government has declared 5,000 crores of financial package to our street vendors. So, but that is not sufficient, and we proposed differently. And I talked to our Honorable Prime Minister in a meeting, and he has asked the Honorable Minister for State in Finance, and he has talked to me today. 12 cabinet ministers will sit, and we have prepared a project that is 1 lakh. 1 lakh for the unit cost, and 40 lakh people can be engaged. 3 types of street vending with a 4-wheeler thela gadi. That is, one is for this snacks, another is for fruits and vegetables, and another is for other essential commodities. But this will be organized by an organizing group, and there will be the bridge between the bank and the seller. They will prepare all these things, and they will take some profit, and there will be many groups like that throughout the country. This is a project that we have developed, and we are going to execute that after it is approved. Skill development is a field of much interest, and this is a big chance, because our skill has not been recognized world over. In our villages, we have seen our poor, uneducated women have serious artistic talent. In our different religious programs, they prefer jyotis and all other things, which a principal in art college will feel ashamed of seeing that. But this talent has been developed not in educational institution, but through a series of work. They developed this genetic aptitude, and which has not been recognized. This can be done as a drawing, as a embroidery on a sari or a dhoti. And so this can be developed, and we have MOU with various fashion design institutions and universities also. Our rural talents will prepare the article, will prepare the sari, the dhoti, and they will market in a global market. So they will get their proper due, a good value, a price for their products. So these are things we can intervene, you can intervene. And India is a beautiful market. We are a big market. We can capture our domestic market, which is captured by China and other countries. We can capture. Now, due to this corona, everybody is disgusted of China, and you can come to India. India is a big platform, and we can think of our export sector to be increased, like anything. And I appeal you should think on this line. And India is favorable. Now we have low cost labor, we have land enough, and our atmosphere is good. Because of our democratic spirit for business organizations, there is eco-friendly atmosphere. You can all come and invest. Others? Okay, we did not tell you. It's a good program. Another webinar, if you can ask 1 or 2 questions, I have another webinar.
I have questions.
Sure.
Yes.
Minister Ji, thank you very much. Very, very elaborate information sharing. Thank you. Thank you once again. Let's, guys, every one of us should give a big hand to the minister first. Sir, we have a lot of questions which has come out from a lot of people. So I'm going to start with the first question, which has come from.
You 5 minutes and ask, because I have another webinar, so they are calling. You can.
I'm sorry, sir. I did not understand you.
Yes, you can ask 5 minutes.
One more webinar after this, so he has 5 minutes only.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay, with a very important question which has come to me, so let's ask that question. It's come from an Indian gentleman, a gentleman from India. Canada has always been investing in innovative ideas, and I find India has a good potential for such ideas. However, before such ideas can get commercialized, many a time there is piloting required to confirm its efficacy. This piloting is best done in India since the cost of such development is competitive and a small innovator can afford such cost. If there is a Canadian private entrepreneur who is keen to invest in such piloting, can Government of India participate? You know, that 50 lakhs thing which you mentioned about. Can Government of India promote such ventures so that it benefits all?
If a Canadian of Indian origin,
Yes, sir.
can do it, Indian government can also provide that 50 lakh rupees towards this life innovation center.
Okay. The government can support such innovators by investing. Okay, that's the number one. Number two question I have is, there is no question. This is just a statement. Okay. Canada's resources can be combined with India's processing and manpower capabilities
Yes, that
to
can,
meet local demand in India. We would
Yes.
like to understand how the trade barriers will be addressed, medium to long term, along with ease to do business at ground to get Indo-Canadians to invest and pursue opportunities confidently.
of course, there are some bureaucratic problems, but we can overcome it, and we are very seriously trying, sitting every day. Also today we had a review meeting to remove all these bottlenecks and to provide a very favorable atmosphere to industries, business houses, and to allow them to take our economy to a height. And our Prime Minister is also very much interested. Every day our officers or ministers are sitting on this line. I think it will not be a problem.
Okay. Do we have more time, sir? Because I want to value your time more importantly.
I think he has to leave, so can we ask Pankaj Bhai to give vote of thanks?
So let's do that then. Pankaj Bhai, please go ahead.
Namaste, Mantri ji. On behalf of Canada India Foundation, all members, I thank you very much, Honorable Minister P.C. Sarangi ji, for your devoted, valuable time to all of us. Globally, the SME sector is the real driver of the economy. To cite an analogy, I'll just say that Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore has written a story titled The Homecoming. In the story, he has elaborated on the plight of an adolescent aged character called Fatigue, if you remember. That is, of course, Odisha's story. So he goes on narrating the agony and pain the teenager goes through his life in the world of human affairs. There is no more nuisance than a boy of 14. He is neither an ornamental or nor a useful person. And he talks with a childish lips. He is called a baby. If he answers grown-up way, he is called impertinent. Yet there is, so I just say that in the case of SME also, there is hardly any different from the boy of 14 years, as I cited above. Honorable Minister, you very well covered many pertinent aspects of this throbbing, vibrant sector. Here in Canada, the contribution of small and medium-sized firms with less than 500 employees is nearly 54.2%. So it is very important part here too, and I'm sure that Indo-Canadians can certainly take the advantage and benefit of whatever you cited, various schemes from Government of India. I'm thanking our member, Prashant Srivastava, who initiated this very beautiful event of webinar and made all of us to benefit this very relevant dialogue with Honorable Minister. मंत्री महोदय जी, आपको प्रसन्नता होगी कि आप एकल विद्यालय से जुड़े हुए हैं। हम भी एकल विद्यालय से कनाडा इंडिया फाउंडेशन के बहुत गहरे संबंध रहे हैं और हम उनके साथ जो भी ह्यूमैनिटेरियन एक्टिविटीज कर रहे हैं, कई 4-5 साल से हमसे बहुत उनके साथ ही काम कर रहे हैं। और उनके जो सुभाष चंद्र जी हैं, वो हमारे एक बार ग्लोबल इंडियन अवार्ड भी प्राप्त कर चुके हैं हमारी ओर से। हमने उनको वी जस्ट अवार्डेड हिम। और आप अहरनिश काम करें भारत माँ भारती की सेवा में। बस आपका स्वास्थ्य रहे और आप लंबे समय तक भारत की सेवा करते हैं, ऐसी ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करते हैं। और ये बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार जी।
नमस्कार जी, थैंक यू।
मातृभूमि से बहुत